and you're watching Abundance Show on Global Abundance Organization Television, GAO TV. Today on Abundance Show, we are thrilled to welcome a powerhouse of creativity, entrepreneurship, and personal reinvention, Holly Oldham. Holly is a house and lifestyle manager, a digital creator, a dynamic voice across multiple platforms, blending her background in entertainment with her passion for storytelling, wellness, and empowered living. She's the founder of Pause, Reflect, Move Forward, PRMF, a growing brand and mindset movement that has inspired thousands through poetry, motivation, and holistic lifestyle guidance. She is also founder of PRMF Luxury Cleaning, a Florida based luxury cleaning business that reflects a deep belief in dignity through detail, order, and care, both in home and in life. Beyond an entrepreneurship, Holly is contributing writer for Business Insider, HuffPostman, and the Good Man Project, where her honest and thoughtful pieces explore them like healing, self-worth, personal growth, and the art of start over. Her online presence with thousands of the followers across platforms like TikTok, YouTube, and Facebook is safe pace for reflection, inspiration, and taking bold step forward, no matter your past. In today's episode, we'll dive into Holly's journey, how she built a multi-dimensional career from ground up, and she's helping others through both soulful expression and high standard services with what it means truly to pause, reflect, and move forward in the age of abundance. Holly, welcome to Abundance Show. We are so excited to have you here, your energy and insight with us today. Welcome aboard.
Thank you so much for having me. And what a wonderful introduction. When you look back at your life and your business and your career, when somebody says it to you the way that you just did, it kind of takes you back, or at least it should, and give yourself the credit where the credit is due. I've learned in business that I don't always give myself enough credit, right? And I'm sure your listeners are, as they're entrepreneurs and they're growing and they're learning about business and life and AI and all the things that are going online, it's important to know that your personal branding is really what matters, right? So we're doing the ABCs of business. This is a 3-part series. Last week, May 16th, we discussed authenticity. I hope that you listened to that lesson and took some notes. If you did not, we're going to put the link in the show description below so you can make sure you follow up and keep on track. That way you can refer back to this later. Does that work for you? I hope so. So, branding. I have a question for you, Zafar. So, we've only known each other a short while. We've been working together, and I love what you're doing for the online space for multicultural communities and businesses. Is there one thing that you can see in this like little square that is on brand for my message? Is there anything that you just may notice in the room that I'm in? I'm in my living room in Hobe Sound, Florida. Okay. Do you see anything that might stand out that might be Holly's brand?
Yeah, I mean the sequence, the aura and the overall scheme that tells a lot about yourself, especially the color schemes. And I see most of all this is too clean. This, I mean, it tells a lot about yourself. Yeah, and the symmetry of the things, and the lighting, and it gets
Okay.
one.
Well,
It's
so
one
I just
elevates mood.
Right. So, as you're in your home, right, the space that you're in, you really wanted to reflect how it is that you're showing up in the world. And maybe you're not able to do your entire living room, but having a nice space around with all the things that make you you. So, for example, I was wondering if you might have noticed that I'm wearing a turtle necklace. And the reason why
Yeah,
is because it's part of my brand. Okay, it's not my logo. Like your logo should represent who is that you are, but it's really about the energy that you bring to your logo and to what your brand is all about. The sea turtle, I mean, you can Google what a sea turtle means and learn all kinds of different things about the turtle, but it's also associated with my brand, and it also weaves in. Does that make sense so far?
yeah, it does.
Right, so when you're showing up online, be yourself. Those are the two most important words that I've learned in business and in life, is be yourself. And that's what the ABCs of business is all about, right? You can't somebody is not going to hire you to, for example, you're not a plumber, right? They're not going to come to you for plumbing advice, right? You want to make sure that your message is clear when it comes to branding. Okay. So you listen to Zafar's intro for me, right? Well, honestly, we can shorten that a bit. You don't need to know everything right away, because when it comes to branding, giving people, your followers, the people who are looking for you, because believe it or not, there are people out there looking for you that you don't know, that right, you're looking for people, and eventually we meet up, right? Just how we met online, we happened to be in the same group, and we were learning and growing about podcasting, right? So we're here helping each other in different ways, and the branding mechanism in business is imperative. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I would.
Right. So my logo is orange and black. Those are my colors. They've been my colors for over a decade. However, my brand has changed a bit. So with the pause, reflect, move forward, right? That is my poem. That is my message that I wrote 9 years ago, March of 2016. And I've done my best to practice that every single day. And we talked about this last week in the authenticity part of it, that every word of your business you have to embody. I cannot teach people to pause, reflect, and move forward if I've never done any one of those three phases before in business. And I took about a 2 year pause from social media. I would post my ocean pictures as an environmentalist, but I really was working on my brand behind the scenes. However, I was still letting my brand speak for me by what? Continuing to post the ocean pictures. We discussed I do daily beach cleaning on my social media, right? So I was continuing my brand without really talking about business, doing the business in the background, which still kept people interested, if you will. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. I mean, can I ask a question about your branding? What-
Sure.
Like, do you often say your brand is more than just a logo? It's energy. It's your energy. Can you explain what that means and how someone can begins to tap into that?
Of course. So again, it just brings you back to being yourself, right? So we mentioned this again last week too with the authenticity, right? You can't sell yourself to people unless you're doing the mirror work. Mirror work. What do I mean by mirror work? To reiterate, go in the mirror. When you go in the mirror to look at yourself, right? We're all aging. We all look different. Our bodies change, our face change, our mood changes. And when, for example, we're getting ready to do this podcast, I'm in the mirror putting my face on, pulling myself together, and I'm saying to myself that this is going to be a great podcast. That's what I mean by mirror work, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. You
Right?
bring
So
everything
I'm
together to make it nicer. Yeah.
right. And so I'm pulling my energy together, even despite what may be going on in my world, right? I still needed to focus on you and give you my 150 100% attention for the 30 minutes that we're doing this together. So the energy that you bring is really how you feel inside, and it exudes naturally. I mean, you can pretend that you're happy. However, it's not going to come off authentically. And that's going to, uh, it could mess with your brand. And so it's important that you think about what it is that you're posting and why it is you're posting and staying on brand.
Yeah, yeah, it means a lot.
So you said you had another question for me?
Yeah, I have. Yeah, but this is a bit tough. I mean, how did you personally go from charging $25 an hour to making over? I mean, commanding over $80 an hour? Was branding a part of that shift?
Of course. Uh, Going from $25 US, now these are US dollars, so 25 US dollars to
Yeah.
$80 plus an hour, it, it was not necessarily easy. I learned a lot of things. And so if you want to reach out to me and ask me step by step how I learned those things, of course I can teach you. And because you're on the podcast, I would offer you a special rate for a 30-minute kickstart of your branding and getting you set up for success. It's all about strategy, right? If you have no solid foundation, if you don't know what you're building on, right? How are you going to build? You have this idea, you have that idea, and all these ideas, and everybody's telling you this. You should do this, you should do that. Don't do this, don't do that. Well, really, you need to listen to your inner voice. Your brand is your brand. The person who came up with global abundance, everything that has to do with global abundance is about being on brand, and everything that you do must be strategic. If it's not strategic and it just kind of like fly by the seat of your pants, it's only going to take you for it's only going to take you so far. But you really need to have that strategy and the system in place to set yourself up and your brand for success. Now, if you've been in business before, and I've owned several different businesses before, and rebranding is a whole nother thing. I was married once, for example. I was married twice, actually. I'm twice divorced, and you know. Traditionally, I took my husband's last name. Okay. So I've been three different last names in my life. And now I've gone back to my original name. I've had to rebrand myself at least four times, more than that, because I'm also in entertainment. So I have stage names, if you will. When I do stand up comedy or things, I go by pause, reflect, move forward. And so being intentional, being yourself, having the right energy when you walk into the room, and even if it's full of strangers, I actually prefer it that way. I'd rather walk into a room full of strangers. That way I take everybody by surprise. If I'm a keynote speaker for that particular event, generally they're going to look into the keynote speakers and who's on the panel. Is it worth investing my time? Is it investing my money? These are the questions that the consumers are going to ask, right? So they're going to look back. Now, when they look back on me, they're going to see everything about me. I've never once intentionally, of course, misquoted myself. I mean, I'm only human, I make mistakes. However, looking back, you'll see I speak about the environment. You'll see I speak about parental alienation and how I believe it's a global epidemic. You'll hear me talk about being in business as a solopreneur and always pushing myself to be the best version of myself. And that's why I believe I went from $25 to $80 an hour cleaning someone's home, because they're not paying me to clean their toilets. They're paying me for the energy that I bring into their home where it may be lacking. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It does make sense. Can I ask another question regarding mistakes? I mean, you were just referring to.
Yes.
Okay, my last question about is what's one branding mistake you see new or small businesses owners making that costing them money for momentum?
Look, AI, artificial intelligence, for those that don't know what AI is, because there are people, believe it or not, that don't know what that is. Okay. Uh, I'm in fact still learning. There's so much to learn out there about AI and what you can do and what you can't do and what you shouldn't do. And I use it for spelling. I use it for punctuation. Like if I write something, I need somebody to review my work. And the AI tools are out there, they're free, they're great. However, if you're not coming through in your message and what your brand is about, if you're not coming through to your audience, to your followers, employees, clients, whoever it is that you're catering to, right? Because you're on social media for a reason, whether you're there for fun or whether you're there for business, you're still on there for a reason. And wouldn't you want to be a part of somebody's intellectual property that's done the work before you, so you can skip the some of the mistakes? Because I can't guarantee you a foolproof plan, because your journey in the janitorial industry, which is my background, I'm in the janitorial industry, uh, or whether you're running a small business, they're they're different, but they're the same, because the way that they're the same is because our end result is the same. We desire to be successful. Yes, we want to be successful. We want to be up here. However, you can't go right. You can't go from here to here and think that it's linear. It is right. You're up, you're down, you're all of these things. So staying on brand, bringing your energy, being authentically yourself is how you're going to find the right people for you. I I don't get calls and text messages or PMs much about me wanting to clean, having someone clean their home. Okay. I know that I'm in the top 1% of the janitorial industry in the United States. Okay. Because of the rates that I choose. I'm not looking to clean everybody's home, right? I'm doing it for the people that need me, right? They need my services for one reason or another. They need more time, which is one of the things that I allow people to have by taking care of their entire homes. I'm giving them time. And and uh there might be a whole nother podcast, but how would your life be if you were raised to save time and not money? Right. So we have all of these things to set us up for success in business. However, it's important to make sure you're following the right people. You look into who it is trying to invest in you or work with you, or if you're just another number, or like, I'm not looking to be just another number, and I'm not just another number. I believe that I am an individual. I believe I am a successful business owner, and am encourage you to do the mirror work and tell yourself the same thing. Because when I was growing up, right, just like a lot of other kids, right, we're parents now, we they would encourage us. Oh, Holly, you did such a great job. Congratulations. Right. And then when you're a parent, oh, you did such a great job, honey. You did such a great job. But when we get to adults, we don't necessarily have those cheerleaders on our sides, do we? We don't have those accountability partners. But guess what? You do. You can have one in me. I'm going to hold you accountable. I'm not going to let you slack. Because why? Because that's what you're hiring me to do. You're hiring me to help you push forward. You're hiring me for the knowledge that I've had in business for the last 20 years. Actually, you know what my first business was, Nafar? I was 10 years old. I was 10 years old, and I sold blow pops.
Oh,
I sold
how come? I
lollipops. Do you
mean,
know
how young?
lollipops? I
How could you do
sold,
that? I mean, so young. 10-year kid is just 10 years.
well, think about the children now that are 10. I mean, I was 10 in the 80s. Kids that are 10 in 2025, they're already on AI. They know more about this stuff than adults do, right? I mean, they're smart, they're intelligent, and I was too. I was then. I always wanted to make my own money. I always wanted to have my own money. I didn't want to ask, "Excuse me, Daddy, can I have $10?" Right? Like, so I started the and I started selling them for a quarter a piece. I started selling for 25 cents a piece, right? And then and so I would buy a big box and then at wholesale, and then I retail for 25 cents a piece. I'm 10 years old. Then I thought to myself one day, what if I charged two quarters? What if I charged 50 cents for one blow pop, 10 years old, 1985? Would they still pay me? I sold out of the box the same day. I doubled my price and it still was in demand. Do you see? Right? So being yourself, being around people that know what it is that you're trying to do, and it is what you're trying to be profit in your business. We're not in business just to be in business to say, oh, I have a business because what is that going to do? You're in business because you want to make money. You want to provide for your family. You want to travel the world. You want to, help other people, whatever it is you want to do with your money, but you're in business to make money. And so am I. And that's why these podcasts are so important that you tune in, you listen, you re-listen, you take notes. Next week, you know what we're doing next week? Hold on, what time we got? We're about almost up here with the time. Next week, we're going to talk in the ABCs of business, authenticity and branding, like we did this week. Next week is confidence. We need to have the confidence to be able to pull this whole thing off, right? So I encourage you to do the mirror work. If you're using AI, make sure your voice is there too. Don't just say, oh, what's the post I should put out for today? Make sure that it's your voice that shines through, because if it doesn't shine through because of how much activity is on social media, it's constantly going, right? And if you're not part of people's mental real estate, you're going to be forgotten.
Can I ask you another question?
You can ask, I don't know if I can answer it, but yeah.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, so how did you evolve your own branding? I mean, this pause, reflect, move forward.
How?
How did it come to your head? I mean, it first as name itself, and then I mean, how did you get that deeper? I mean, you were a very expensive consultant for hygiene and what you call janitorial services.
So if you remember when we spoke the first time, I think this is like the third podcast we've done together. And if you go back to that first one, it was really about I was in a stagnant part of my life, personally, professionally, my family. I was just stagnant. I desired more. I was in a toxic environment, and it just was what it was, and I needed more. And so I was actually on my way to another podcast interview back, this was 9 years ago, 2016 March. And I had to come up with a topic. We were like talking about what topic would we talk about, and I just really thought about where I was in this point of my life. And I've been a poet since I was a little girl, so I've been writing poetry for a long time. And pause, reflect, move forward is was this divine download. I can't explain it anything other than that. And ever since that day, I've just been practicing it. It's become my daily mantra. I encourage people to use it in a text message, use it for a podcast, or um, if you're going through a red light, you have to decide, are you going to run through the red light or you're going to stop, right? These are all pause, reflect, move forward moments in life. And whether you decide to hire my professional business services, or you decide to hire me to help you do some commercial cleanings, I have an individual from solo cleaner to essential house manager online course that you can take and learn to make money in the United States, and and profit in the United States, to be financially independent as a woman, and It's taken me back because every time I go to explain this pause, reflect, move forward, the message is so much bigger. The poem is so much bigger than I ever thought that it would be or could be. And now with my new program launching next week on the 27th about how to make $9,500 in 3 days on a commercial property, being a solopreneur, I mean, this is my signature program. This is going to change people's current cleaning businesses who run commercial properties. It's exponential income for people. So I'm so excited. Next week when we do our interview on I think it's the 29th. Is it the 28th or 29th? I think maybe it's the 28th, next Friday. Uh, I'll have already launched that, and people will already be able to start building their commercial residential cleaning businesses, because not only for the launch, for the first 4 people that purchase the HTC program, they're going to get this from solo cleaner to essential house manager program for free. So you're going to be getting 2 programs into one. And if you're not interested in being a part of the janitorial industry, like I said, you can hire me for a half an hour to pick my brain session. Am I cheap? No. Is it going to be worth it? I guarantee it.
That's amazing. I mean, your new ventures always excite. These are exciting, like yourself. And how do you keep yourself that motivated? You always come up with high energy and new ideas, and you are doing things amazing, wonderfully. Could
It's
you get
one
us some
word:
mantra behind this, or like some secret, or like?
boundaries. It's boundaries, Zafar. That one word changed my life. It's the biggest lesson that I've had to learn in life was boundaries. I allowed too many people to ask me too many questions, and I gave them too many answers, and I was left with nothing. And I'm not just talking about business, right? Anybody would ask me a question, I have a term for it. It's called verbal vomiting. I would actually tell them how I feel and all the things. And not everybody's entitled to a front row seat of your life. So I give away free content, free information. You can Google, pause, reflect, move forward, and read content. I entertain you and hopefully educate you and inspire you at the same time, because we're not promised tomorrow. And I encourage you to follow people who make you feel better about yourselves, because I'm sure you would agree there's a lot of people that make you feel not so good about yourself. And those people aren't your people, Zafar.
Okay, can I ask something about poetry too?
Sure.
I mean, since we go, I mean, we are running last 2.5 minutes. Would you like to tell us, I mean, anything about your poetic life as a Holy Oldham as a poet?
Yes, certainly. So briefly, between 2018 and 2019, I did 100 stages across the country in the United States. I read poetry about self-love and mental wellness. I performed in Las Vegas, Nevada, at the Golden Nugget, and it changed my life. These if you have things in your head and you don't know how to make sense of it, if you could just get it out and put it on paper and look at it, you'll see that most of it doesn't make sense anyways. And we all think thoughts that don't matter, and we just need to kind of shift and sort and stop having so many tabs open at a time, and use those boundaries. Right as we wrap up, use the do not disturb on your phone. It will save your life. Pause, reflect, move forward. Google me. Holly Dress On, not Holly Dress Off, was my poetry name, and my 2 books are on Amazon. My 2 poetry books are on Amazon. And you can learn about self-love and mental wellness in a holistic way. Okay,
Okay, I
so we'll
mean,
see
my
you guys
last
next
question.
Friday.
Yeah, this was Holly Oldham, and she's a poet, she's a writer, she's an influencer, she is on social media, TikTok, and pause, reflect, move forward. And this is such amazing podcast we've had. Thank you so much, Holly, for being on the show,
Thank you.
and see you on 30th of the last day of this month, and Friday on confidence. I mean, thank you so much. I can't thank you enough for your all great things. Bye bye.
Bye.